Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals. Let me give you guys a forearm shot first. All right, let's talk about this. I get this question a lot when it comes to the loose skin. People will always say, hey, why don't you go get the surgery? And there's some things to consider here. What I'm going to say up front, number one, the surgery is not even on the table, right? It's not even an option. Even if insurance completely covered it and it cost me nothing, there's a number of problems here. But what people need to remember, my loose skin is there, but it's not at the level of a lot of people. It's definitely not at the level that most people have it at who get the surgeries. Like if you guys remember another influencer way back in the day, Jordan Graham, and I actually chimed in on this, I added him on Facebook years ago. He had the surgery after losing over 200 pounds, and he was happy with it. But he was an example of someone who really would benefit from those skin reduction surgeries for his physique. But what people need to think about, they make these statements and they don't really think it through. They're just like, oh, just a surgery, it's no big deal. Like you need to remember, people, even lipo is a big deal. Like if you're a serious lifter, liposuction itself will create problems. Like you're not going to lift weights for 6 or 8 weeks. A lot of people aren't aware of that. They're like, what? Yeah, and this is a way next tier up. Yeah, they usually do some lipo with it. But when you're talking about skin reduction, they are literally cutting all the skin off and re-sewing you up. And we're talking hundreds of stitches, okay? You're also talking about tubes sticking out of your body. All right, there's also complications. Like it doesn't always go well. It doesn't always look good when you're done. So when you think of someone like me, it makes more sense to just keep dieting down, okay? It makes sense to keep dieting leaner because my loose skin is still really only mostly there because I have a layer of body fat over it around the waistline, right? It's all just in my waistline area. But what people have to remember, loose skin like that is still, it's because your body fat tends to lose from kind of the inside towards the out. And so the areas where you have the most fat, when the skin is looser, you're just still holding a disproportionate amount of fat in that loose skin. That's why things like, you'll see striated hamstrings on me, but I'll still have a little loose skin around the waist, right? Still have some love handle. When I've literally got on camera, a lot of times you guys will see the individual heads, all 3 heads of my hamstrings separately, and sometimes all deep separation in there depending upon the day, because it's going to be disproportionate. So overall, I'm actually leaner than I should be because of the waistline. It's because that's where I hold my fat in that area. So keeping that in mind, it gets much tighter. So again, what I pointed out when I've done water cuts for meets and put up pictures of that, like on social media, right before my weigh-ins, it's a lot tighter. Like the loose skin is 80 to 90% tighter, okay? So we have to factor that in. Other people have even noticed, like, wow, the skin on your chest is starting to get tighter. It's like, yeah, because I'm getting leaner. Probably because I've gained chest also. So all of that is starting to really tighten up. So it will be the same thing around the waistline over time. And people have to remember that when it comes to loose skin. The people who still have severe loose skin are not lean, okay? They are not lean. So when that loose skin is being cut, they're still cutting off like 10, sometimes 15 pounds of body fat with it. So when they take all that skin, they're taking fat. So like in my case, if they were if I were to have the loose skin taken up now, they would probably be taking about 5 pounds of body fat with it. And that comprises the biggest chunk of what's causing it to still be there. So in that case, it would make sense for me to just simply diet that down. So why not have the surgery? Again, the complications. It is not a risk-free surgery. It's not like a little minor surgery with extremely low risk. It is extremely invasive. They're cutting off large sections. So I mean, my entire waistline would be sliced open all the way around and then have to be stitched up. Okay, number one. Number two, again, tubes sticking out of your sides. I would probably have something like 6 or 8 weeks where I would have drainage tubes in my body just to drain this stuff out and have to wear a thing around my waist to help keep it tighter. So you don't just walk around and have a normal life for the next month, okay? That also means you're not going to be lifting weights. Not going to be lifting weights, almost none. Minimal exercise, maybe some light cardio. because you can't afford to tear all of this loose again, all these stitched up areas. So think about that from my perspective. My career, all my social media revolves around lifting. I'm a full-time coach. This sells my services. It would affect my business tremendously. All right. The other thing to think about, all of those things of not being able to lift, what if I told you people many times, I do have a history of severe depression and other things. Severe depression in the past, to the point where I used to have to be on antidepressants. And I'm not going to go into everything else, but I have certain issues. And for me, lifting weights is therapeutic. In fact, lifting weights has been so therapeutic that I have been able to come off of all meds. Okay, I've not had to have any sort of medications or antidepressants or anything for many, many, many years now. Okay, lifting weights is part of my therapy. When my doctors told me to quit lifting before, when I was dealing with my Meniere's issue, I spiraled into a deep clinical depression within a matter of months, within a short period of time. I had to go on medications and everything for that, antidepressants, had to go through therapy while not lifting. We see the problem here? So I take away the lifting. Let's say I can't lift weights for 2 or 3 months. What then happens to my well-being, my mental health? That's going to spiral. So if I had to go get a surgery and I couldn't lift for several months, I am probably going to have to go on antidepressants. I'm going to have to be back in therapy. Or worse, it could go really, really south. Because again, this is part of my way to deal with depression. It's part of my way to deal with anxiety. It's a way to deal with all of these things. It's an enormous factor for me. So you take that away, it's a problem. Then we come down to the muscle loss. Guys, I am not like a small guy. People forget, I'm not some 160-pound guy. I'm walking around at 212 pounds with visible abs. Okay? In my late 40s. People are aware I would lose 20 to 25 pounds of muscle probably. Possibly more in that time period. I would lose muscle mass rapidly. Then I've got to rebuild all of that muscle. All of that chasing getting skin a little bit tighter when I could probably achieve 90% of it just through additional body fat loss and cutting. It doesn't make sense. It's when you look at the cost to benefit analysis, even if the surgery didn't cost me a single penny, let's say insurance and stuff covered 100% of it, 100% of it, even though it's cosmetic, I still would have to look at all those factors and go, yeah, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. It's not worth it. So when people make these suggestions, they don't think through the consequences. Oh, just go get a surgery. Yeah, that's not how it works, guys. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.